Okay, let's talk about Sammy the Bull and why he's full of it. First of all, I just want to say that I'm not here to criticize Sammy for being a rat. That's not what this channel is about. For those who don't know, Sammy the Bull Gravano was a very high-ranking mafia member. He did a lot of time in jail, and he now has a YouTube channel where he's telling stories about a lot of the murders and stuff he did, which he can't legally do because of his agreement with the government. And his channel's doing really well. He's a very entertaining guy. 250,000 subscribers. He'll probably have 1 million subscribers in no time because the channel has not been around very long. But let's just analyze a little bit because I have watched several of his videos, so I have some insight into the channel. And what I've noticed is that every single story that he tells is a Sammy superhero story. Every single story is about how Sammy the Bull is the wisest, toughest, smartest mafia guy ever. The most respected, the most humble, the most, calm under pressure. That's what all his stories are about. How great he is. With a lot of these mob guys and, ex-gangsters, drug dealers who are now appearing on YouTube, a lot of them are contrite. Some of them pretend to be contrite. Some of them kind of walk a line where they're pretending to be contrite one day and glorifying their street life the next. But with Sammy, there's no contrite at all. This is 100% glorification of himself and the mafia in general. Okay? So, that's one of the things where he's full of it. All these stories he's telling, he'd have you believe that they never killed anyone who didn't have it coming, who wasn't in the life, who wasn't another man with a gun. Those are the stories he's going to tell. None of these stories that he's told have put him in a negative light in any way, shape, or form. And so I think, for me personally, that I feel really cheated because as someone who is an advocate against child abuse and who understands that child abuse is what has destroyed this planet, destroyed our society, and created men like Sammy the Bull, that we don't get any insight whatsoever into how he became Sammy the Bull. What made this man who's willing to kill someone for looking at him wrong? Because that's who he is. He's someone who kills for money and enjoys it. And so we don't get any insight into Sammy. There's no introspection on this channel. There's no self-reflection of, wow, this was my thought process, and God, I was, none of that. There's no interest. This man does not have an introspective bone in his body. Okay? But at least he's not pretending to be contrite. I'll give him that. But what he is pretending to be is a stand-up guy. That's a term that these mob guys use, stand-up guy. They would love for you to believe that they never killed anyone who wasn't in the life. They never killed any innocent civilians. But that's just not true. That's not what the mafia is. The mafia is built on exploiting innocent civilians. It's built on ripping them off, extorting them, extorting honest businesses, selling drugs to their children, okay? Killing people who try to stand up against them in their rackets. Good people who try to speak out against them. Look at the stuff that's happened in Italy. People who speak out get murdered. That's who the mafia really is. And when they kill each other, they're only killing each other for the right to exploit the rest of us. They're fighting over the rackets. So don't ever let these guys trick you into thinking that they're stand-up guys. They're not stand-up guys. I mean, look at the stories that Sammy told about Roy DeMeo and how the man was basically a psychopathic serial killer. I mean, they're all serial killers. Sammy's a serial killer, but Sammy was the kind of guy who killed for power and killed for money. A real psychopath, a cold-blooded one. But Roy DeMeo was like killing people for fun, like killing them to watch their blood drain out and stuff like that, like real sicko horror movie stuff. And all the guys in his crew were like that too. Just think about that for a minute. We know what else Roy DeMeo was into? Child porn, child rape porn. He was the point of distribution for the child rapists who made an industry out of raping children. Think about that. The mafia, the Italian mafia, was the point of distribution for the child rape industry. Where were all these stand-up guys when this was going on? Why didn't all these stand-up tough guys who protect their neighborhoods, why didn't all these stand-up mob guys jump in their Lincoln Continentals and their Cadillacs and go to the place where these child porn producers were and kill them all? No. You see, what they did was the exact opposite. They profited off the rape of those children. And what better place than the mafia for someone like Roy DeMeo, someone who loved killing people, someone who liked to kill them just to watch them die? What better place? What a better safe haven than the mafia? That's what the mafia really is. And these guys, they all profited off that child porn. And you know what else? The status that Roy DeMeo had. People looked up to him. Even today, after everything is known about him, people still talk about him. Yeah, like with pride. I knew him. I went in his bar. That's the state of the world we live in. We're sickos like these guys get idolized. Now, Sammy the Bull is definitely an abused child. And that's what he's not telling you. He'll never be honest, because it's a Sammy Superhero channel. That's what this channel is, Sammy Superhero. He's not going to tell you what made him into what he is, but I will. Child abuse. That's what makes these guys. Probably his dad beat his ass. Maybe it's something that simple, maybe it's something worse. You know what else the mob did? Or does? They turned a blind eye to the Catholic rape scandal. You can't possibly expect me to believe that the Italian mob is not aware of the Catholic child rape scandal. Everyone's aware of it. No one does anything about it. Everyone's aware of it. No one does anything about it. Just like all the big problems. We want to argue and play culture wars and argue about Captain America movies when there's a child rape industry that's been profiting for thousands of years. Listen, these mob guys are all tied in with the Catholic Church. All the way, going back a very long time. And in the same way that the mafia, was a perfect place for a serial killer to get away with his crimes, being a Catholic priest is the perfect place for a child rapist to get away with his crimes. I mean, think about it. You're a child rapist, and here is an organization with a limitless amount of money willing to spend it all on lawyers to get you out of trouble once you rape children. And not only that, they won't even fire you. They'll move you to another place so you can rape more children. It sounds like a pretty good gig if you're a child rapist. Just like the mafia sounds like a pretty good gig if you're a serial killer like Sammy the Bull and Roy DeMeo. Now, there's just one more thing I wanted to say about this and Sammy in one of the stories he told about John Gotti. Now, I don't know if the story is true or not. It sure sounded true. Probably embellished, but it sounded true. A lot of the stories he's telling sound true, but they're just his lies are lies of omission. He's not going to tell you the stories where he looks bad, right? So anyways, this one story he's telling about John Gotti and the oranges. And Sammy and this other mobster got a bunch of oranges, and the first thing they did was take one out for themselves and then offer the whole bag to John Gotti. And John Gotti threw a fit because they took an orange out for themselves. Like, this is the mentality of the people who rule this world. They're toddlers. They're like big infants with big guns. How utterly infantile, how utterly insecure of a man John Gotti is and Sammy the Bull is. These are deeply wounded, deeply insecure people. And yet we idolize him because he can pull a trigger. Anyone can pull a trigger. All it takes is the cold heart of someone who was abused as a child. So listen, no, these guys are not stand-up guys. And Sammy, for as much as he glorifies the mafia, he betrayed them. Okay, I wasn't going to talk about him being a rat, but he's a rat. He goes on and on about Cosa Nostra and how great it is. These are not stand-up guys. There's no Cosa Nostra, some wonderful, magical thing. It's just a bunch of scumbags willing to kill for money. And Sammy exemplifies that. Because he didn't go down for Cosa Nostra. He got out and did for himself. So yeah, Sammy the Bull is full of it. He has no remorse. He has no introspection. His is a life unexamined. He doesn't even know why he is the way he is. But I do. And you do too. It's the Great Plague.